Hello everybody, my name is Desiree Mapp and welcome to another episode of Getting to Know. If you're not yet familiar with Getting to Know is the show where we want to get to know you. We want to get to know your business. We want to get to know the inspiration behind your business. We've adopted the slogan that every business has a story and we want to hear yours. And today's story, we're going to hear Pastor Lewis Hemphill is our guest. He's the pastor of the Link Church in Irving, Texas. So welcome to the show, everybody. Pastor Lewis Hemphill.
Thank you, Desiree, for coming out to visit us here where we have Church in the Mall. Yeah.
Church in the Mall.
Hashtag Church in the Mall.
Okay, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Some things I do know, but I want to talk about it anyway. I think you have a fascinating story. I love what you do here with Church in the Mall. It's a very nice location. They got it decorated really nicely inside. I encourage anybody to come take a look out. Come take a look. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Church in the Mall at Irving. This is Irving Mall?
Yes, ma'am. This is the Irving Mall.
The Irving Mall. Okay. Yes. So let's start from the beginning, okay? You're from Fort Worth or Dallas?
I was actually born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Oh. And then when I was 2, my dad got transferred company he was working with, and then we moved to Dallas. But I grew up in Dallas, Pleasant Grove, Texas.
Pleasant
PG,
Grove.
Everglade.
I have no idea what that is. Are you from a large family?
Very large family. I have 7 sisters and 1 brother.
Oh, okay.
It's 9 of us total.
What's the age difference between the brothers?
My brother is early 40s.
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah.
It's not that bad. And you, how old are you?
I am 35.
Okay. Is it true your father's a pastor?
He's an associate minister.
He's an associate
pastor at the church, but no, he's not a senior pastor.
He's not a senior pastor.
Right,
okay.
Right.
So you could say you're a preacher's kid?
I'm definitely a preacher's kid. I grew up in a holiness church anyway, so it really didn't matter if you were the preacher's kids or the usher's kids. We were all raised very traditional holiness. Nothing wrong with it.
Have you ever heard of that? And I know you have, the stigma that preacher's kids are the worst kids. People put unfair expectations on children who are the kids or the offspring of preachers.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. It's just more of an unexpected, unrealistic expectation. I definitely believe that's what it is. Then I think there is a standard somewhat that we teach our kids because we have a little more knowledge biblically or spiritually. So I think we are able to pour into them a little more than maybe what the average pew parent is. So I think they should have somewhat of a higher standard, but not, too far deep to where they can't get in any trouble. They still got to make decisions as a child, still learn from experience just like everybody else does.
So you knew who Christ was at an early age?
Yes.
Okay, but you didn't invite Christ and get serious about it until later on.
Yep.
But from 3 or up or 4 or 5 and up, you knew who Christ was.
Yeah, I knew who he was. We went through all the vacation Bible schools. I sung in the children's choir. Like they say, I was a drug addict. I was drugged to church every time the doors were open. 7, 8 days. If there was 8 days a week, I probably would have been there 8 times a week.
I've never heard that before. You were drug addict. You were drugged to church. Yeah, drugged to prayer meeting and
yes, everything that they had. My family was there.
Well, all 9 of you probably took up the first row.
Well, all 9 of us didn't grow up in the same house at all the same time. My mother, had some kids were married before. My father had some kids were married before. Then they came together. We were the African American Brady Bunch.
Oh, okay,
and then they had 3. It's pretty much exactly what it was. Then we had 3 more. Mom had 3. My dad had 3. Came together, and then had 3 more.
Yeah, 3 squared. What kind of kid were you?
I was actually a pretty good kid, before all the trouble. I was a pretty good kid. Parents had me involved in sports, and I think
What'd you play?
Basketball, football, soccer, baseball. I played them all. I even tried swimming one time, but we don't want to talk about that. My dad still laughs about that. I had one swimming meet that he came to, and I think I was like last place. So swimming definitely was not my gift.
But you know how to swim, just not competitively.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not competitively.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you were a good kid until. Let's talk about the until. When did the until happen?
I say about 7th grade. About 7th grade.
What age is that?
7th grade is probably about 13.
14, okay.
Yeah, 13.
What happened?
When I was 13, I actually went to an academy that you had to be accepted into. It was called Longfellow Academy.
Academics?
And it was, academics. You had to take tests and you had to get accepted to go to it, and I was accepted. Like I said, growing up, elementary, all A's. I was in the talented and gifted program, went to that special school in the 7th grade, and about then I started getting into a lot of trouble. And now I don't really know why at that time I started getting into a lot of trouble, but I got into fights, and I actually got kicked out of school in the 8th grade.
Was it your schoolmates, or was it people who you grew up with in the hood?
I was getting in trouble at school. I wasn't getting in trouble at home at that. I mean, of course, I was getting whoopings for coming home.
Yeah.
But my trouble was at school. I was getting into a lot of fights, playing around.
With your schoolmates?
With my schoolmates, yeah. Getting into fights on the bus, had to ride the bus to school, getting in fights on the bus, getting in trouble in school for talking too much, trying to skip class. So it's about that time I just kind of wowed out, and just really for no reason. I mean, I had everything at home that I needed. My dad was at home, had the support from him, had the love from him. And I even tell parents now, don't always blame yourselves for the decisions that your kids make, because I'm a perfect example that I had everything that I needed. I had no decision that I made as a teenager could I blame on something that I lacked, didn't have at home. I had it. So I started wilding out probably about the 8th grade, 7th to 8th grade, got kicked out. Had to go back to my home school, which was a very, very bad school, and that was pretty much the turning point.
The turning point
for me.
Yeah. You've been incarcerated.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we talk about that?
Sure.
For how long?
Almost 4 years, a little over 3.5 years.
And for what? What was it for?
I was convicted of 2 aggravated robberies with a deadly weapon. A
knife or?
Guns.
It was a gun. Just a little sidebar. Where'd you get the gun from? You don't have to name no names. You're trying to get nobody in trouble here.
I'm not sure exactly. We had guns at that time because of all the things that at that time I was involved in gangs, drugs, selling drugs and different things like that. So
and were you living
all
at
had
home?
Guns. No, I wasn't.
Did your father know you had a gun?
No.
Did you have a gun when you was living in his house?
No. I was 17. By then I was just insane, coming home whenever I wanted to, and then
coming to his house whenever you wanted to.
Yeah, to his house. Okay. I would come home. I was supposed to be home at 11 o'clock or midnight. I come home 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
And he'd answer the door.
and they put up with that for a while, and then one day I remember I came home. I remember this like it was yesterday, and I came home. I mean, my dad, the Incredible Hulk just came out of him. I mean, he literally grabbed me by my shirt with 2 hands, threw me up against the door, and said, if you're gonna stay here, you gotta abide by my rules, or you're gonna have to get out. That day I called my sister and said, come get me. And I chose to leave.
Wow. So at this point, was your family involved in church?
Yes.
Did he get any sort of backlash from that?
Honestly, I've never had that conversation with him. I honestly never. I'm not sure.
You know, a lot of times parents aren't on the same page when they tell one of their kids to get out. So he gave you the ultimatum. What did Mama say?
Nothing. I remember my mom in the background just looking. I think my little sister was there too. A vivid picture of that day. And he didn't kick me out. He didn't tell me to get out.
You chose to leave.
He gave me a decision to make. Live by my rules, or you got to leave. I chose to leave.
Did they try to coerce you and like maybe there's something we can work out, or was a conversation like that had?
Nope.
No. Okay.
That was the last straw.
Okay.
I was a senior in high school.
Did you deserve to be a senior? Because your grades were they just passing you up?
I passed.
Were you still doing your schoolwork, I guess is my question.
To some degree. To some degree. High school is based on your credit, so as long as you get enough credit, you can fail some classes, but make up with different.
Right.
You become the next grade just because of the credit. So, I mean, I was an actual senior, but I remember at one time, I think my junior, when I was supposed to be a junior, I was actually still classified as a sophomore, but I kind of made it up.
So you had the credits, okay.
Yeah.
So you left your parents' house and you moved in with your sister. Did she have any rules?
No. That was not the best situation, but she was only in her 20s.
Oh, okay.
Maybe late 20s at that time. Still doing her thing. She had three little children, and basically I was a 17-year-old senior with no rules, no authority over me whatsoever.
So did things get worse by moving into your sister's house, or better?
Oh, they got worse. Remember now, I'm 17 years old. I don't have to tell anybody where I'm going. I don't have to be back in. I can do 17. Imagine a 17-year-old being able to do whatever.
Yeah.
Literally whatever.
Did you still check in with your parents? You know, call parents on Sunday, you know?
I remember my dad came over a few times and like gave me some money just to see how I was doing and stuff like that. But
that was it.
Honestly, it wasn't even long.
What wasn't long?
It was before I actually went to jail.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't even long. That was probably that was December, and then that second semester I transferred schools, and that was January, February, March. 4 months later, I was incarcerated.
So 4 months later,
4 months after leaving my house, I was in jail.
How long? You say you were in jail for 4 years?
Almost 4 years, yeah.
So what was that experience like? Were you scared?
Oh yeah.
Because it was real. It was for real.
Yeah, you're always. I don't care how hard you think you are, when you don't know where you're going or what can happen the next day. There's always some form of fear. Fear
was that your first offense?
Yes.
That was your first time going to jail? You know, I think you have a unique perspective as someone who used to be a troublemaker, and you got sent to jail for it. What do you think about today when you see young boys who are acting up, and young girls too, but today the stakes are a little different? Because sometimes instead of getting locked up to jail, you're more likely to be shot dead by the cops. Could that have easily happened to you if you were in this day and time?
Honestly, I think that it was probably happening then as well. Of course, now with social media and news coverage and stuff, things get around quicker than they were. I mean, there was no way you could imagine not even having a cell phone today. How many of those cases would we even see or even know about? Not being able to record things like you can today. So I think it was still going on now, but I think it could have happened back then easily.
Where were you when you went to jail? What state? Were you here in Texas?
I was here in Dallas, Pleasant Grove, Texas, where I grew up.
Did your family come visit you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, you saying where I was?
In prison, yeah.
Oh no, when I was in a couple of different places. It was in Texas though, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did your family come visit you? They were. Did your dad come visit you?
Even when I was 4 hours away, they came to visit me. Yep.
That's
from
good.
day one. One thing that I always remember, that when they came to visit me that first day when I was in jail, they didn't even ask me or condemn me or convict me or anything. It was just like, we're here for you. We love you.
That's good. Having been down that path, and you said that you believe that things that are happening now were happening back then. It's just that with social media so prevalent, it's more in your face now.
Right.
Who do you sympathize with more? The kid who's having problems, or the cops who are probably scared of the kid?
I would definitely say the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes depending on where you came from, it's hard for you to understand a different demographic or how they grew up. It's hard for you to understand. And when you think about those specific situations where that child was shot or killed, typically it's by an officer that didn't come from that same demographic. So it's even hard for them to have, it's hard to have sympathy when you don't really understand, the situation or the scenario that's on the other side of the table.
So you go to jail for your crimes. When did you surrender to God? While you were in jail?
I was probably about 9 months
in jail.
After in jail.
For real surrender.
Yeah, for real. Honestly,
what happened? Because if it took 9 months, how come that didn't happen the first night when they slammed the door closed? Why did it take 9 months? The reason why it didn't happen the first, and I'll be honest, I'm always honest about this, because I thought I was going to get out. Okay.
I even preach that now. Hey, there's nothing wrong with coming to God when you're in trouble. as long as when you get out of trouble, you still stay with him. I went to God because I was in trouble. I gave my life to Christ because I was in trouble.
And you saw they weren't letting you out.
Not without Jesus. I was facing 35 years to life. They were coming to me with a plea saying, we'll give you 35 years if you just plead guilty. If not, we'll go to trial and we'll shoot for life.
Were you guilty?
Yes.
But you pled not guilty.
No, what happened was they started off with 35. By the time we got to a year of me being in there, it had got down to 5 years.
Okay.
So I ended up signing and getting a plea deal for 5 years, but they tried to give me 35. And during that time, that's when I accepted Christ. And somebody just told me one day, they was like, you can have a second chance. It's going to start with Christ. I accepted Christ and I said, okay, God, I need your help in this situation.
But didn't you already know that?
That I needed him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you knew about him.
Yeah, I knew about him. But serving Christ is a choice, though. It's more than just having a knowledge of who he is. It's more than just believing, believing that Jesus is real or believing that Jesus died and raised from the dead. I believed that. It was never a doubt of if I believed it, but I never made him the Lord of my life. When you make somebody your Lord, you allow them to control you. You submit unto their authority and the way that they want to run their kingdom, you submit to those rules and methods of running the kingdom. So I never did that at the age of what we would say accountability, where we truly understood what it meant to accept Christ.
Okay. So you do 4 years. You come home, you get out of jail, and you do what? Because you're a convicted felon at this point.
Yep, 2 felonies.
Two felonies.
2 felonies. I got out and
the temptations are there, probably more because now you got street cred. Do you move back home with your parents, or you move with your sister?
I moved back home with my parents. And as far as what do I do, the temptations and things of that nature, all the guys that I used to hang with, they came to my house immediately. Like first night, second night, they heard I was out, they came with me. I was actually still on a monitor. They put me on a monitor after I got out because of the nature of my crime. So I could go look for a job during the day and I could go to church like on Sundays, but I had to be in by like 6 o'clock. So I didn't even have access to even going to parties or anything like that. And then when the friends who came, who I used to hang with, when they came and they kind of saw the change in me and now I'm not going here, now I'm cool, I'm not going, it just kind of slowly faded away. They stopped calling. They stopped coming over.
Your dad let them in the house? He allowed you to have the same friends come over?
But they hadn't seen me in 4 years. So what do you say? What is he going to say? No, they can't come and say hello.
Yeah, it's his house.
It wasn't that deep.
Okay.
It wasn't like they were bringing guns in the house or anything. They just want to come and celebrate and congratulate me for making it out.
Okay. So 2 felonies. You have to start your life. How old were you when you came out?
21.
21, okay. So every job application that you go on, that you have, even now, you have to put that on there, right? Yeah. What do you say to people, to men and women who are coming out of prison, they're convicted felon, they got to put that on their job application, and sometimes people hire you, they want to talk to you about it. A lot of times those applications go right in the trash. What can you say, or what do you have to say to people who that may happen to, how to keep encouraged? Because many times if they can't find a job because of that felony on their record, they often turn back to a life of crime. So what words of wisdom do you have for that? Because that's something you still go through to this day.
Yeah, honestly, I was in a blessed situation to where I came home to a place where I was looking for a job, but a job wasn't a determining factor of if I was going to eat. So I couldn't find a job, when I got out, and I decided to go to school. So I went to the trade school and I found a job through the school that I was in that actually accepted felons. So I ended up with my school training when I graduated. It was a lot easier for me to get a job because I was skilled in a certain area. So I think once if you become skilled, if you go to a trade school or anything, even if it's just a 9 months, 6 months, once you get some form of a skill, it's a little bit easier to find a job than it is at Burger King, you know, with no skills with your felony. So I was in that blessed situation, but I would tell anybody, just be encouraged, and second chances, they can happen. It's what you make of it. We're in the middle of a series now called Game Changers, you know, and I use the backdrop of chess. Chess is not like dominoes or spades where it's the luck of the draw, but you win because of the moves that you make, and you lose because of the moves that you make. I believe that anybody, if they make the right moves at the right time, you can be successful. And there's many examples and testimonies of people who've been in prison 20 or 30 years and came out, and they made some right decisions to get into the field that they wanted to get into, and now they're successful.
What was the name of your trade school?
ATI, American Trades Institute.
Does it still exist today?
I'm not sure if it still exists today.
Okay.
I know in Dallas it doesn't, but I'm not sure if still across the country that it's still there.
Okay, so you went to school, you turned your life around. At what point did you meet your wife?
It's probably about 2 years later. She joined our church. It was the church that I was at, the church that I grew up with, the church that I grew up in, my parents were still at. So I went back to that church when I got out, was active in the church. And we used to have a preacher that came every year from Wichita, Kansas. And my wife, that was her uncle. So when she moved to Dallas, he recommended her to go to our church.
Right.
And that's where we met, at our church.
And when you saw her, were you crushing on her, or y'all were just somebody who went to church together?
No, it wasn't. She was probably crushing on me. She won't say it. She won't admit it, but I'm pretty sure she was. But no, it was. We were actually just friends. Her and my sister were actually, you know, like really good friends. And then because of our age, we all just started hanging out together.
Right.
We would go to different church events, singles. We were single. We would go to different singles events at other churches and musicals and stuff like that. We just, it was a whole group. It was a nice sized group of us that all hung together, and we just so happened to be in a group together, but it wasn't anything about let's date or no.
So at what point did you say, well, maybe we should date?
Actually, it's a very unique story. I was actually dating someone, and I was praying, God, you know, show me if this is my wife, because
the girl who you were dating?
The girl who I was dating. I was under the impression, and I still teach that same thing today, from the first date, start asking God, is this my spouse? The minute he tells you no, walk away. The last thing you want to do is waste 3 years with a person that God hadn't designed for you to marry, and you could have probably just asked him that in the beginning. So I was asking, I was on my knees in my room saying, God, is this my spouse? And God said, and God showed me Dana. That night I was dating someone else, and he told me Dana was my wife.
So you break up with, what's her name?
Not even then. That took a little while to break up. And I told my sister, like I said, my sister and Dana were really close friends. And I told her, I said, don't say anything, but I believe that God was telling me that's my wife.
So when God told you that Dana was your wife, excuse me for interrupting, when God told you Dana was your wife, did you start looking at her differently from afar?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. And I told my sister that, and I said, just don't tell her. And Dana was engaged at that time. And the engagement, they broke off the engagement. And then one day, I don't remember if she was a dream or whatever, God told her that I was her husband.
So she's probably looking at you a little differently too.
Yeah. Well, she told, and then when she told my sister, my sister was just, from what I was told, was just like, hey, what? She told my brother told me that God told him. So it was like God told me that was my wife. God told her I was her husband, and we had never even went on a date. And we knew that God had called us to get married.
So you start courting. What does a Pastor Lewis court look like?
Wine and dine. I'm a romantic. I'm Romeo. So that's what I was all about. Just still trying to win her. Even though I knew what God told her, I knew what God told me, we still had to. So I just try to win her.
How long did you court?
That was like in November, and we ended up getting married in October of next year.
How long y'all been married?
Little over 11 years. Okay.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So this is the segment where we do Say It in 6. We ask you random questions. It allows people to get to know you a little bit better, okay? So it's 6 questions, and it has nothing to do with the Link Church. It just has to do with you, all right? Question number 1. What are some of the skills or experiences that you think every man should have?
I think one skill that you should have is just to be able to make money, be able to hustle.
Okay, what kind of hustling are we talking about? Not illegal.
Legal, whatever you got. If you got a lawnmower and you need some money, you got to be able to know how to put some gas in the lawnmower and go up the street and say, hey, can I cut your grass for $15 so you can get some money in your pocket?
Okay. Question number 2. If Mark Cuban, you're a Mavericks fan.
Oh, all day.
Okay, well, we'll see. If Mark Cuban replaced the starting lineup of the Mavericks with the starting lineup of the Clippers, would you still be a Mavericks fan?
Yes.
You would still be a Mavericks. So it's the Mavericks, not...
As long as they got that horse, then we all on it.
Okay. Question number 3, for the romantic.
Okay.
When was the last time you danced? And what was the name of the song that you danced to?
Last time I danced...
Can you dance?
My sister told me last night that I have 2 left feet. So it's probably been a couple of months, and I think it was to... one of the line dance songs, probably Step in the Name of Love.
Okay, all right. Question number 4. What was the last thing in your house that broke down, and did you fix it?
The dryer, no.
No, you didn't. Okay. It's time for a new dryer?
We got a new one.
Are you a Home Depot, Lowe's, or Westlake hard person? Is you either one of the 3?
I am neither one. I am a hire somebody else to go to Home Depot and get it and then come and fix it.
Okay.
I blame that on my dad.
Okay. My husband's the same way. So you have a daughter. She's 5.
Yes.
And I'm sure there are certain cartoons that are in constant rotation at the house. Okay. So which one do you prefer? Team Umizoomi, Peppa Pig, Bubble Guppies, or Doc McStuffins?
Doc McStuffin, definitely. Yes.
Okay. Do you know the theme song?
No, I don't know the theme song, Doc McStuffin.
If you could have any meal from anywhere in the world delivered to your doorstep, what would it be?
Lobster from Maine.
From Maine. Never had Maine lobsters. Do you cook?
A little bit.
Okay.
I cooked 3 times this week, actually.
Oh.
Not the best cook, but hey, if I got a recipe, I can follow it.
Okay, good. So that's it. That's 8 and 6. So that's fun. I have this question on here, but I didn't answer it. It's like I didn't ask it. But we're finished with saying 6, but I want to ask you anyway, because it kind of nicely transitions to the next part. So you say you grew up in church. Remember those old hymnal songs? Did y'all ever sing any of those?
Oh yes, every Sunday morning.
Then you should know this. Then you should definitely know this. This is fill in the blank. Okay, so I'm gonna say
it's been a long time. Let's see. We'll try it.
Yeah, I'm sure the deacons have definitely sang this song. Fill in the blank. I love the Lord. He heard my
cry
and pitied every
moan.
Groan. I think.
Yeah.
Long as I
don't remember that
live.
One. Long as I live.
In trouble.
Rise.
I'll hasten to his.
Not cry.
Throne.
Okay. Close. Almost there.
I'm sure your wife would know. Would definitely know that. Yeah, all of them. So, like I said, that song is traditional in most black churches. Do you think that sometimes we hang our hats too much on tradition and that can hold us back?
It actually depends on what kind of tradition it is. I mean, because at the end of the day, really, a lot of the Bible is tradition. Mm-hmm. So if we follow what the Bible says, we're following tradition. I think the issue comes in when we've added our traditions after the Bible was set in place, and then we try to make that doctrine. When we try to make a tradition that was put in place 25, 30, or 40 years ago and try to turn it into doctrine, then I think we hang our hat on it.
For example?
Too much. Let's just say certain nights of the week having Bible study, even like a Wednesday night. A lot of people question me on why I had Bible study on Thursday night as if I was breaking some form of God code. It was almost like a lot of people didn't even approve. didn't even approve. And not only that, a lot of people do not approve of me wearing jeans when I preach on Sunday morning.
It's supposed to be suited up,
Supposed to be suited up. That's tradition. I had a big conversation on Facebook about it when I asked something about should pastors wear jeans. I mean, it was almost like 200 comments. I had people saying that I would never go to a church where the pastor wore jeans, and it was one of my classmates. I said, well, I guess you won't ever come visit me then.
Wow,
to them, it was almost like a disgrace to God that I would wear jeans and not be formal in the pulpit. Once again, that's a tradition. There wasn't even suits back in Jesus' days, let alone a tie, to say that now I had to have a tie on in the pulpit per se.
So in what way is the link traditional and not traditional at the same time?
It's definitely not traditional from a dress standpoint. Like I said, I'll wear jeans in the pulpit. It's okay for the members to wear jeans, or we say in our welcome that socks are optional here at the Link Church. But it's traditional from the standpoint that I still believe in holiness. I still believe in living right. Wearing jeans and being holy, doing what the Bible says, to me, is not a contradiction. I believe what the Bible says. If it says don't fornicate, then we teach don't fornicate. If it says don't lie, then we don't lie. If it says don't backbite, then I teach don't backbite. So I'm traditional in the standpoint that I still believe that holiness is right.
Okay, good. So I went to the About section on getlinked.com. Getlinked.tv.
TV, yes.
And one of the sentences, it's funny that you say socks are optional. One of the sentences that are used to describe the church is, we are a family where newbies are accepted, socks are optional, grace is required, forgiveness is promoted, accountability is available, hope is alive, and where it's okay not to be okay. Why are socks optional?
Socks are optional just to let you know that it's not, your holiness is not dependent on if you have stockings on. I grew up in the church where
you had to wear stockings.
You had to wear stockings.
Yes.
You don't need, no men don't need to see your ankles, and if men can see your ankles, then you trying to show them something. Your intentions is wrong. You know, it's just really deep. You know.
So who holds the pastor accountable?
Who holds the pastor accountable?
Accountability is available.
My members are supposed to hold me accountable, as well as I have a pastor myself. So I have a pastor that holds me accountable, and I believe and teach that the members are supposed to hold me accountable. If I teach it, then it's up to you to make sure I live the standard, because I'm the example for the house. So I'm not I'm not in the era where I believe that the members can't come to me and say, well, Pastor, this is what you're preaching, but it looks like, well, I grew up in an era in the church where you don't question the pastor when it comes to things like that. That's
talk about tradition.
You don't have no business going to the pastor, but I think as the members, you have the right to hold the pastor to a standard that he lives what he preaches.
Does the wife hold the pastor
Of
accountable?
course. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's.
Are you Pastor Lewis at home, or are you just Lewis?
I'm Lewis. My wife is the worship leader, so sometimes.
Okay, is she the worship leader at home, or is she just?
Sometimes we gotta change hats and let's talk about the music. Sometimes now we're young, so we still working on that part right there on how you change those hats with your feelings not being involved. So you got to learn. So we're learning even things like that.
Okay, it's okay not to be okay. You know. Let's talk about that for a little while, because a lot of times people think, let me get myself ready and then I'll go to church. That's backward thinking. Why?
Let me say this first.
Okay.
One of the things that I say a lot when I'm doing our invitation to salvation is Christ has his arms open right now for you to come down, just like that prodigal son. The prodigal son, he came home, he was dirty. He came out the pig pen. It doesn't say anything that he went and took a bath first.
Right.
Doesn't say he went and put perfume on or anything. It says that his dad fell on his neck, even while he was stinky, even while he was dirty. Then his dad took him in the house and said, go get the robe and let's go clean up and let's do these things. So I tell everybody, hey, you don't have to go home and pour nothing out. You ain't got to go home and flush nothing. You ain't got to go home and kick him or her out the house today. God is saying, come to me. Let's go do that together. We'll go flush it together. We'll go pour it out together. We'll go put them out and help them get their own house. We'll do that together. So you don't have to go fix anything. Come to Christ and then we'll fix it. The problem is you can't fix it. That's why you're still in the situation that you're in now.
So let's talk about the Link Church. Where did the name come from?
It was something that God gave me. I was preaching at a youth event in August. I think that was like 2013. And when I went to the event, I assumed that it was going to be a fully African American event, but it was a back to school drive. So they were giving away, school clothes and backpacks. So it drew a lot of different races, a lot of different ethnicities. And really, I closed my Bible. I didn't even take my notes up to the stand because I was prepared to preach to a bunch of African American kids. And I preached, and I did an altar call, and these Hispanics came down, and the white families came down and accepted Christ as entire families. And it blew me away. I wasn't expecting it. God moved. They gave all these different colors. They gave their life to Christ. And then the next morning I was praying, and God said, I've called you to be a link between me and the people. And that's where the name The Link Church came from.
And how long has it been in existence? You're going on your third
we were
year?
a year in September, so we're a year and 4 or 5 months old now.
Okay. What surprised you the most about being a pastor as opposed to the youth minister or the youth pastor? You're the pastor. What's the difference? What surprised you the most, I guess?
Honestly, what surprised me the most is how people deal with you, even in your role.
What do you mean deal with you?
And from a negative standpoint, people will use you and abuse you and then walk away.
The pastor?
Yes. They will take advantage of you. They'll allow you and the church to help them and then walk away. Where you would think that, hey, if I've helped you, I've helped you in your marriage, I've helped you change your life, I've helped you pay your get gas money, I helped you pay your bill, and then to just walk away like we were never there for you. You think you know things like that, but you don't always know what goes on behind the closed doors of the pastor. So really, I knew pastors, would get mistreated, but being that you were able to experience it, it's hard sometimes.
I never thought about that. So, as the pastor, how do you handle that? Because aren't you always supposed to keep the doors open no matter how people treat you? I mean, aren't you at risk for that happening?
Yep.
Always?
You have no choice, but I believe that's what, when you're called a pastor, you've been graced for it. There's no way that you can love people with all your heart and not be wounded. When you're loving hurting people, then at some point in time, the hurt person is gonna hurt you.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's just part of the ministry. You keep on loving, and there's no way that you can pull your heart back. The minute you pull your heart back, then you lose on giving somebody the love that they need.
Church in the Mall. How did this come to be? Because this isn't your first location.
No, we were actually not far from here. We were renting a ballroom. We rented it on Thursday night for Bible study and Sunday morning for church. And last August, we were looking for a move. We just wanted something different. We feel like we kind of maxed out at that space. So we were actually looking at going into the movie theaters. I mean, our leadership team, we had met at the movie theaters. We had agreed on a price. The movie theater had Cinemark, they had sent us an agreement. And then one day, a member of the church was saying, hey, have you ever thought about the mall? I said, no, I've never known any church at the mall. She said, well, when we were growing up 25 years ago, we had a space in the mall. So I was like, okay, no big deal. I didn't think nothing more of it. Then one day, God was like, call Irving Mall and just see, if that's something they would even consider. I called the mall and talked to the sales agent, and I said, hey, have y'all ever had a church in the mall? They said, no, but we'd consider it. We actually have a space that's open right now. Would you be willing to come see it? I said, yeah, I'll be there today. 30 days later, we were signing the lease.
Why Irving Mall?
Well, we were already in Irving.
Okay.
So we were right up the street. So it's the place where God called us to be. We were already here. And like I said, this just happened. A lot of people, I'm a marketing person, but a lot of people try to say, well, man, that's awesome marketing. I have to tell them I can't take any credit for this. This was completely a God thing.
Where did you get the idea of delivering your sermons in a series type format?
It was actually when I was the director of youth ministry at the church that I came from. That's what I did. I wrote the series out. I rarely used a youth curriculum. I always wrote the series out. And I mean, when you're going to teach on something like the fruits of the Spirit, you can't just do that in one night.
Yeah.
So it was something that I was used to. I always wrote the series out, sent it out to the team, the youth ministry team. And so it was just something that I was accustomed to. That's the way that I preached.
So you're in the middle of Game Changers.
Yes.
You started the year with Game Changers.
Yes.
What's Game Changers about? I know you mentioned it briefly.
Yeah. Game Changers, It's Your Move is the official series title. And it's based on not focusing and having your life based on the luck of the draw, but actually making your move, knowing that you can change the trajectory of the game. Chess is my favorite game. I'm a good domino player, a good spades player, but chess is my favorite game. And the difference between chess and domino and spades is domino and spades, it's really more about the luck of the draw. It's 50% skill and 50% luck of the draw, because it doesn't matter how good you are in spades.
You can only deal the cards that you got.
Exactly.
Right.
If the other team got all the aces and the kings and the spades, it don't matter how good you are, you lose.
Yeah.
But in chess, it's actually based on how good you are and the moves that you make. There's only two ways that I can lose. One, I make a bad move, or two, I miss with the opponent's strategy. Those are the only two ways that I can lose. It's solely based on the move that I make. So I believe that a lot of us are living our lives like it's a domino and spades game, hoping that we get a good hand. I hope I'm dealt a good hand, then I can have a good career, then I can have finance, then I can find the right spouse. But really, our life is more like a chess game. It's all about each move that you make that will allow you to be successful in life.
So how do you know if the moves you're going to make or not are going to be successful?
The best thing to do is have a relationship with Christ and have a prayer life to where God can lead, guide you, and direct you. No move is guaranteed. No move is guaranteed, but I believe that a lot of moves that I make, when I've prayed about it and I feel a sense of peace, then a lot of times it actually does work out, more times than not.
Was prison a game changer for you?
Definitely. Definitely. I believe that if I wouldn't have went to prison, I'd probably be dead.
Does it always take something so extreme like prison, though, for God to get our attention, for us to start making the right choices?
No, I mean, God can choose anyway. I say all the time that, I mean, God, why did I have to go to prison? You could have just sent an angel in my room one night and like change right now, and then I would have been like, yes, Lord, I'll do it. But I had to go through that, and I think that experience has even afforded me the opportunity that I have to stand before the people and to be accepted, by those who may not want to hear a typical preacher. So it opens up a lot of doors. My testimony does. So that was just God's plan for my life.
I got my mother-in-law sent me an email this morning. It's from her Daily Bread. Do you ever read the Daily Bread thing?
When I was incarcerated, I read it every day, but I have not read it in a while.
And the one today had to do with about a mother whose daughter was having some problems in her school. She was being teased or something. And the mother was going to step in. She prayed to God about it, and she said that God told her, don't do anything. Don't do anything, because you coming to her rescue, it will actually prevent her from learning a lesson. You have a daughter now, and you were, in your parents' house at one time. Did your parents ever come to your rescue? And do you think if they did come to your rescue, that it would have changed, or you were just too far gone?
My parents didn't actually know a lot of the things that I was doing. So if I got in trouble, it wasn't, like I said, when I got in trouble for robbery, that was my first time going to jail. So it wasn't like I had been in juvenile 7 or 8 times. I was just doing a lot of dirt, but never got caught. So they really didn't know what I was doing. So I never got into much trouble to where they needed to rescue me. So they had no idea that I was really out there getting high and doing those things. I made sure that I didn't smell like weed when I came home, and if I came in drunk, they was already asleep, so they wouldn't even know it. So I was pretty strategic.
Yeah.
Like I said, I believe that he was saving my life. I believe I would have been dead.
Okay. Let's talk about the community aspect of the link. What is Feed My City?
Feed My City is an event that we created for Thanksgiving to feed the low-income families in the area. And what we do was we get the members and even those that we know, we'll send it out on social media to donate canned goods, basically items that will create a full Thanksgiving dinner. And then we take those items, create baskets. We go out to the community, we invite the apartments that we have adopted to come out and get a basket. And then the remaining baskets that we have, we take it to them in the apartments. We'll knock on the door. This is Sunday after Thanksgiving, Sunday after church. Go to the apartments, knock on the door, give them a bag, pray with them, invite them to church, and we go to the next apartment.
So this was your second year?
This was our second year doing it.
Okay.
The first year, last year, or 2014, we did it. We fed over 50 families, full Thanksgiving dinners. And then this past year, 2015, when we did it, it was a little over 100, so we doubled.
Wow.
Our goal was 200, but we got to set the bar high.
Right.
But we doubled
in
that year.
So this is January 2016. What events do you have coming up for this year? I assume that you're going to do Feed My City.
Yeah, we'll do Feed My City this year. One of our outreach ministries is an adopted apartment initiative, AAA. So we do events in the apartments. We believe that if they won't come to church, then we'll take the church to them. So we have an event in March that we'll be doing at one of our apartments. Vacation Bible School. We don't do Vacation Bible School in our facility, in our space. We take Vacation Bible School to the apartments. So we have multiple.
You said apartments, so it's more than one apartment complex.
Yes, so last year when we did it, we had Vacation Bible School at the same time at 2 different apartments. So we split the children's ministry leaders up, and they have Vacation Bible School at 2 different apartments that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, like from 6:30 to 8:30 at the same exact time. And we do that for our festivals that we do too. Last year when we had our Spring Fest, we did the festival at 2 different apartments at the same exact time. We took sound, split the church up, they do the games, music, and we do it at the same exact time in those apartments.
Do you guys have anything going on for the summer?
Our Vacation Bible School is in the summer.
Okay.
So that's our outreach for that summer.
So you got the Spring Fest, the VBS, and then the Feed My City.
Then the Feed My City.
Okay. And you also have, what's the next series you have coming up? Have you studied it yet? Or?
I got a couple series in my pocket, but this is going to be going on we got about 3 or 4 more weeks in this. And then one thing, I don't tie my series down unless it's leading up to a holiday. Like, I'm pretty much free until Easter Sunday. I got to start my new series Easter Sunday, but between now and Easter Sunday, I mean, if God gives me 5 more sermons, 6 more sermons to go with this, then I'll keep it going. But I got a couple, sermons in the pot that I could possibly go if He tells me to go ahead and end this.
Okay. So anything else that's coming up for the link?
That's about it. We're actually planning our Easter service right now. So we try to get early, get an early start on that. We're actually excited. Next door, it's a bounce house party place. So parents, they can rent the bounce house place out and have parties in there. We're actually going to have children's church over there on Easter Sunday.
Oh, that's nice.
So they'll be having children's church in there. They'll have their worship service. And then like the last 20 or 30 minutes, they'll have an Easter egg hunt and bounce house party in there.
And I think you have to wear socks. I think socks are required.
Socks are optional, not in there, huh?
Not in there, no.
So it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. That'll be something different that we've done. And we'll be doing a production that morning that'll be part of my sermon. So both of these are first time things for us. So we're looking forward to that.
So when people come into the Link Church, what can they expect? Do they have to dress up?
No, they don't have to dress up.
Okay.
First of all, they can expect love. The way we have it set up, we have a greeter at the front door, a greeter at the top of the escalators, and then the greeter at the door. So before you even hit the sanctuary, you probably got 3 hugs. There was a visitor not too long ago after church. She tried to shake my hand. It was her 3rd, 4th time here. She tried to shake my hand. Then she said, "Oh, y'all are hugging church." So you're definitely going to feel the love when you come in. And then, of course, when the service starts, worship is going to be high, led by Lady Dana. She's an awesome worshiper. And then I preach. Our service does not have a lot of fillers, in it. My wife, she does worship. We have a welcome. I get up and preach, and how the Lord leads after that with the altar call or prayer, any type of thing that God just takes us. But we don't have a lot of fillers. I mean, it's worship and the word. That's what we do.
What is the coffee bar?
The coffee bar, church starts at 10:30. So we have a coffee juice bar that starts at 10 o'clock. So it may have fruit, muffins, donuts, and it has coffee. You can make your own coffee, and also juice. It's just an opportunity for people to just fellowship and just talk, over some coffee and some juice right before church starts.
Okay, that's nice. So, you guys been doing that for a while, right?
We've done it from day one.
Yeah, I like that. Anything else you want to add?
Come see us at the Link Church. This is where we have church in the mall.
And how can people get in touch with you?
You can check us out on www.getlinked.tv. You can look us up on social media. We're on Facebook. Just search us under TLC Get Linked. We're on Instagram, TLC Get Linked. You can follow me. I'm on Facebook. Lewis Hemphill, my wife. Dana Hemphill, she's on there. You can look up those names, Dana Hemphill, Lewis Hemphill on Facebook and Instagram, and we're on there.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for coming out.
Okay. I hope I didn't ask too many personal questions.
Oh, you okay?
Okay. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for, once again, for tuning in to Getting to Know. Remember, if you or someone you know would like to participate in Getting to Know, check us out on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. YouTube channel is 6Man Prod. That's 6THMAN Prod. And our email address is info@6manprod. And we're also on Facebook as well, 6Man Prod. So that's it, probably for a while. So thank you for tuning in. Bye.